It happened one evening, when I wasn't looking. It wasn't a loud fight, no dramatic argument, no screaming. In fact, it was the opposite. It was too quiet, too peaceful, and that, in itself, felt like a red flag. I was sitting on the couch, the TV muted in the background as I tapped away on my laptop. It had been a long day, work, errands, the usual. I wasn't paying much attention to her. She was in the kitchen, her silhouette moving around in the soft light. We'd gotten comfortable with silence, I suppose. Then, without warning, she said something that stopped my heart. "You can't stop me, you know." I didn't look up. The words sounded strange, almost like a line from a movie. Her voice was calm, almost too calm. I assumed she was talking to me, but I couldn't figure out what she meant. "What do you mean?" I replied absent-mindedly, still absorbed in whatever I was doing. "I'm leaving," she said, a little more clearly now. I paused, fingers still on the keyboard. "What?" Her next words hit me like a freight train. "I'm going on a 6-month journey, and there's nothing you can say to stop me. I've already made up my mind." I turned my head then, my brain struggling to catch up with what she was saying. I saw her standing by the kitchen counter, her back turned, her hands gripping a mug. She wasn't looking at me, but I could feel the weight of her words in the air. It wasn't an announcement, it was a declaration. And suddenly, the room felt colder, more distant. I stood up, my heart pounding. "Wait, what do you mean? You're just leaving? For 6 months? Where? Why didn't you tell me about this?" She looked at me then, her expression unreadable. I didn't think I needed to explain. "You wouldn't understand. It's something I need to do for myself." I stood there, frozen in place, trying to make sense of it. It wasn't like her. Sure, Mia had always been independent, but this was different. I wasn't even sure how to react. "Why now?" I asked, my voice almost a whisper. "Why this? Why are you doing this to us?" She took a slow breath, as though weighing each word. "I can't keep living like this, Tom. I need to find who I really am, without the weight of all these expectations. And this trip, it's the only way." I was dumbfounded. For a moment, I just stood there, speechless. The silence that followed her words was thick, almost suffocating. Something inside me was screaming, but I couldn't find the words. What was going on? Where had the woman I knew gone? "You're not telling me everything," I said, my voice shaking. "You're hiding something. You've never talked about this trip before, Mia. And now, out of nowhere, you're going. Why?" Her eyes flickered with something I couldn't place. A shift. Maybe guilt. Maybe anger. But she didn't answer. She just looked at me, her gaze distant, almost lost. And then, as if deciding she'd said enough, she turned away, walking toward the door. I followed her, my feet moving before my brain could catch up. "Mia, please, just talk to me. Tell me what's going on. What's really happening?" She paused at the door, her hand on the doorknob. "I'm not leaving you because I don't love you. I'm leaving because I need to find something. Something I can't find here." The way she said it hit me hard. It wasn't just about the trip anymore. It wasn't just about her wanting to be away for a while. No, there was something more. Something hidden beneath her calm words. I could feel it, like a knot in my chest. I wanted to yell, to demand answers, to grab her and make her stay. But in that moment, I felt the harsh reality of her decision sinking in. I couldn't stop her. And that's when I realized the truth. It wasn't just a trip. Mia was leaving to find something else. Someone else. I stood there, my heart sinking, as she turned the handle and stepped out the door. "I'll be back," she said softly, her voice almost a whisper. "But I need to do this for me." And with that, she was gone. I couldn't bring myself to chase after her. I stood there in the doorway, staring at the empty space where she had just been. My mind was reeling, trying to process what had just happened. But deep down, I knew I couldn't stop her. Mia had made up her mind. And whatever was waiting for her out there, whatever this journey was, would change everything. And I would never be the same. The silence after she left the house lingered like smoke in the air. I stood in the doorway for what felt like hours, staring at the spot where Mia had stood just moments before, feeling the weight of her absence pressing down on me. My mind couldn't process it. She was gone. I didn't know why or how to feel about it. It wasn't until I saw the suitcase by the door that the reality of the situation hit me. She wasn't just leaving for a weekend getaway or a brief trip to visit family. No, this was different. Mia was leaving for 6 months. 6 months. I couldn't wrap my head around it. And the worst part? She hadn't even explained why. at least not in any way that made sense to me. I walked into the living room, pacing back and forth, trying to make sense of it all. I didn't know where to start or how to begin to put the pieces together. What had happened in the last few days that led to this? Was there something I had missed? Had I missed all the signs? I knew Mia well, or at least I thought I did. So why had she done this without even giving me a chance to understand? I tried calling her cell, but it went straight to voicemail. The cold, mechanical voice on the other end only added to my growing sense of dread. Why wasn't she answering? Was she avoiding me? Or was she already too far gone to care? I grabbed the suitcase by the door, desperate to understand something, anything. I ran my hands over the fabric, feeling an odd mixture of emptiness and confusion. There was nothing unusual about it, nothing that would give me any clues. But as I opened it, a small envelope fell out. I hadn't noticed it before. It was addressed to me. My hands trembled as I opened it. The paper slightly crumpled as if she had written it in a hurry. The words inside were simple, but they stung. Tom, I need this time for myself. Don't try to find me. This is something I have to do, and I need to be alone. I hope you understand. I'll be back, but not the way you think. Please take care of yourself. Mia? It wasn't much, but it was enough to confirm my worst fear. This wasn't just a vacation. This wasn't just a trip to clear her head. Mia was looking for something, someone, and I wasn't part of it. The thought made my stomach twist in knots. I couldn't sit still anymore. I had to do something, anything, to get answers. I grabbed my coat, rushing out the door, not even caring about where I was going. I needed to find her. I needed to understand why she had chosen this path, why she had chosen to leave me without even giving me a real explanation. The cold night air hit me as soon as I stepped outside. I walked down the street, my mind racing with questions. Where could she have gone? Why hadn't she told me? The idea that Mia was out there, somewhere, making decisions without me, without any of the trust we had built together, was almost too much to bear. I drove aimlessly, my eyes darting from the road to the passing houses, hoping for some sign that would lead me to her. But everything was just as empty as the house I had left behind. I didn't know where to go, where to search. That's when I remembered something. Her journal. It had always been a secret between us, something I never really paid attention to, respecting her privacy. But now, I couldn't help but feel like I had to know what was inside. Maybe there were clues. Maybe there were answers to the questions she had left behind. I pulled into the driveway, my heart pounding in my chest. I had never felt so lost, so desperate for understanding. I didn't know if this was the right thing to do, but it felt like the only thing left. I walked into the house, my footsteps echoing in the empty space. I went straight to her room, where I knew she kept it, the small leather-bound journal she had carried with her for years. It was always a mystery to me, but tonight, I needed to know what was inside. I opened it, flipping through the pages quickly, scanning her neat handwriting. There was nothing unusual at first. Small notes, observations about her day, little things she'd written about her work or family. But then, about halfway through, I found something that made my heart stop. She had written about Lucas. His name was scattered throughout the pages, mentions of their conversations, their meetings, the way he made her feel. As I read, my chest tightened with every word. It was clear that this wasn't just a friendship. There were mentions of shared moments, intimate details that made my skin crawl. There was a particular entry that caught my eye. I can't stop thinking about him. It's like there's a connection we can't ignore. I feel things I haven't felt in so long, and I'm scared of what this means. I don't know if I can keep pretending everything's fine with Tom, but I don't know what to do about this. I need to figure it out. The realization hit me like a freight train. Mia wasn't just looking for herself. She had already found someone else. She was in love with someone else. I slammed the journal shut, my breath ragged in my chest. I could feel the tears welling up, but I couldn't let them fall. Not now. I couldn't believe it. I had been living in the same house as this woman, trusting her, thinking she was mine, and all along, she had been planning to leave me for him. I didn't know what to do next. I was consumed with a mixture of anger, betrayal, and confusion. I thought I had been given a chance to make things right, but it was clear now. Mia had already made her decision, and I was the one left in the dark, grasping for something that no longer existed. She had promised me she would return, but the more I thought about it, the less I believed it. And I had to face the terrifying truth. Mia was gone, and I wasn't sure if she was ever coming back. I didn't sleep that night. I couldn't. The weight of the journal in my hands felt heavier than anything I had ever carried before. Mia was gone, but I was still here, trapped in the same house, surrounded by all the remnants of what we used to be. The scent of her perfume lingered in the air, the marks she'd left on the furniture, the photo frames we had arranged together on the mantelpiece. Everything in this place screamed her name, yet she was nowhere to be found. I couldn't sit idle. I had to do something. I had to get answers, even if it meant facing the truth I wasn't ready to acknowledge. I thought about calling her, but I already knew what the answer would be. Her voicemail had become a bitter reminder that she had checked out, mentally and emotionally. I knew Mia better than anyone, and I knew she wasn't just leaving for a brief hiatus. She was making a clean break. The idea that she had been planning this behind my back, for who knows how long, was almost too much to bear. As I sat there in the dim light of the living room, replaying the last few days in my head, the puzzle pieces began to fit together. Her odd behavior, the late nights, the unexplained trips to the gym, the long phone calls that she would cut short whenever I entered the room. These were the signs I had ignored, the subtle cracks in our relationship that I had been too blind to see. But there was one thing I didn't understand. Why Lucas? Why him? They hadn't even known each other for long. I had never heard of him before her trip, and suddenly, it felt like everything in her life revolved around him. I could feel the burning question hanging in the air. Had she been in love with him all along? Had I been just a stepping stone, something to hold on to until she found the real thing? I stood up, pacing around the room, my mind racing. I couldn't let this go. I needed closure. I needed to know everything. I grabbed my jacket and went out, the cool night air biting at my skin. I wasn't sure where I was headed, but I couldn't stay in that house a minute longer. I thought of the cafe they used to frequent, the place where Mia and I had spent hours talking about the future, where we had shared so many dreams. If there was any chance of finding her, of getting some answers, it would be there. The cafe was empty when I arrived, save for the barista who gave me a look of mild recognition. I felt like a ghost walking into the place. There were no familiar faces, no comforting presence of Mia sitting across from me, sipping her coffee and smiling at me with those soft eyes. The silence of the cafe felt almost suffocating, but I didn't care. I had to find something. I approached the counter, trying to keep my voice steady. Have you seen Mia recently? She comes here often, with someone. His name is Lucas. The barista's face tightened, almost imperceptibly, but it was enough for me to notice. She hesitated before answering, clearly uncomfortable. I think I saw her a couple of days ago, but I can't really say much, you know. People come and go. It's not really my place to. I cut her off, desperate. Please, I need to know where they went, anything you can tell me. This is really important. Her eyes flickered for a second before she lowered her gaze. They left together. They were talking about a trip, but I'm not sure where. She didn't mention much. I'm sorry. I wish I could help you more. The words hung in the air like a heavy fog, and for a moment, I felt like I was going to collapse right there. Mia had gone somewhere. She was with him, Lucas, and I had no idea where that was. I stood there, unable to move, until the sound of a car pulling up outside snapped me out of my trance. I walked out of the cafe, not knowing where to go next. The feeling of being lost in my own life was overwhelming. I wasn't just looking for Mia anymore. I was looking for the truth. I spent the next few hours driving through the city, my mind a mess of conflicting thoughts. Was Mia truly gone, or was she just temporarily lost? Why had she left without telling me, without giving me any warning? Had our marriage really meant nothing to her, or was there something else? The questions continued to haunt me, clawing at my insides. I could barely think straight anymore, but there was one thing I was sure of. I wasn't going to give up. I had to find her. It wasn't until the sun started to rise, casting a pale light over the city streets, that I made my way to Lucas's apartment. I had no idea if he would even be there, if he would even talk to me, but I had to try. I had to see for myself what was going on between them. I rang the bell, my hands trembling. A few moments later, the door opened, revealing a man in his early 30s, tall with dark hair and a calm expression. I didn't know what to expect, but it wasn't this. He wasn't what I thought he would be. He didn't seem like a man who had been planning to take my wife away from me. He didn't look surprised to see me, which made me even more uneasy. "Can I help you?" he asked, his voice smooth, almost too composed. I took a deep breath, my anger bubbling to the surface. "I need to talk to you about Mia. Where is she? What's going on between you two? Lucas didn't flinch. Instead, he stepped aside, motioning for me to come in. Come in. We need to talk. I wasn't sure if I should go in, if I should trust him, but I had no choice. I followed him inside, my heart pounding in my chest. There was no going back now. I was about to find out everything I had been avoiding, everything I didn't want to hear. The truth was right in front of me, and I wasn't sure I was ready for it. But it was too late to turn back. The moment I stepped into that apartment, I knew my life was about to change forever. As soon as I stepped over the threshold into Lucas's apartment, I felt an unease settle deep in my gut. The place was neat, maybe too neat, as if everything had been arranged just so. The walls were bare, the floors cold, and there was this overwhelming feeling of sterility, like nothing in this apartment belonged to anyone. It felt more like a waiting room than a home. Lucas gestured for me to sit on a sleek, leather couch. I could hear my own heartbeat thumping in my ears as I reluctantly took a seat. My mind was racing, jumping from one thought to the next, but I had no idea where to begin. The weight of everything I'd just discovered in Mia's journal, the unanswered questions about their relationship, felt like a storm inside me, waiting to burst. Lucas remained standing across from me, watching me with those dark, almost unreadable eyes. There was a calmness to him that only made my anger grow. He didn't seem nervous, didn't seem concerned that I was standing here, demanding answers. The only thing that came to mind was how easily Mia had slipped into his world, how effortlessly he seemed to have captured her attention. The thought was enough to make my fists clench. You've been looking for her, haven't you? Lucas's voice broke through my thoughts, smooth and measured, as though he had known this moment would come. His words were strangely comforting, but they only made my frustration boil over. I shot him a look, refusing to speak first. I didn't want him to have the power in this conversation. Not now. Not after everything Mia had put me through. I'm not here to play games, Lucas. I finally said, my voice shaking with a mixture of rage and hurt. Where is she? What's going on between you two? He let out a soft sigh, sitting across from me without a hint of urgency in his posture. It's not that simple, Tom. I know you have questions, but the truth, the real truth, isn't something you're ready to hear. Not yet. I narrowed my eyes at him, refusing to let him control the conversation. Then tell me, Lucas, because right now, all I can think about is how she's gone, how you've taken her from me. Do you think I'm just going to sit here and let you play some twisted game? I loved her. We were building a life together. So don't tell me it's not simple. His eyes softened for just a moment, an almost imperceptible shift, and he leaned forward slightly. I didn't take her from you, Tom. Mia made her own choices. But I won't lie to you. What's happening between us, it's complicated. But it's not just about us. It's about Mia, and it's about something she's been struggling with for a long time. I felt a chill run down my spine. The way he spoke about her, so casually, made it clear that he was involved in something I had no understanding of. Something much bigger than I had ever imagined. Struggling with? What are you talking about? I demanded, now standing, pacing the room. I couldn't sit still anymore. Every part of me was on edge, every nerve wired with the need for answers. I needed to know everything, even if it meant tearing apart what was left of my sanity. Lucas didn't move. He just stared at me with that same unflinching calm. You weren't there, Tom. You didn't see the parts of her that were hidden. Not all of them. Mia wasn't okay, and she hadn't been for a long time. This was never about her loving you or not. She loved you, but she needed more than what you could give her. I stopped dead in my tracks, the weight of his words hitting me like a slap. My chest tightened as I tried to process what he was saying. Mia needed more than me. How could that be? I had given her everything. I had tried so hard to be the partner she wanted, to be the husband she needed. You're lying, I whispered, almost to myself. She loved me. She told me she loved me. Lucas's eyes softened for the briefest moment before he shook his head, almost pityingly. She did. She really did, Tom. But it wasn't enough. She's been running from herself for so long, and the longer she stayed with you, the more suffocated she felt. She didn't want to hurt you. She didn't want to leave you. But she couldn't keep pretending everything was fine when it wasn't. And that's where I came in. I felt a wave of nausea hit me. It wasn't just a betrayal. It was an unraveling of everything I thought I knew about her. Everything we had shared. Mia hadn't just been searching for something outside of our marriage. She had been looking for a way out of her own mind. And Lucas was the one who had been there. the one who had offered her the escape she'd been craving. I could feel the anger bubbling up again, but this time, there was something else too, something darker. The sense that maybe I had never really known her at all. You think you're the answer for her, don't you? I spat, my voice thick with bitterness. You think you're the one who can fix her. But you're just another part of the problem, Lucas. You're just a part of her running away. He didn't flinch. His expression remained calm, almost sorrowful. I'm not trying to fix her, Tom. I'm trying to help her face what she's been avoiding. But she needs to do this for herself. She needs to find her own way. You can't fix someone who doesn't want to be fixed. The words stung, sharper than I could have imagined. I felt my world crumbling around me, each piece of the puzzle falling into place with a brutal clarity. Mia hadn't just left me. She had left the version of herself that I thought I knew. And maybe, just maybe, that version of her had never truly existed. I turned away, unable to look at him any longer. I couldn't breathe. The walls felt like they were closing in on me. Where is she, Lucas? Where did she go? He hesitated, and for the first time, I saw a flicker of something. Regret, maybe? Or maybe it was just the weight of knowing that, in the end, none of this could be fixed. She's gone, Tom. She's not coming back the way you think. I can't tell you where she is because she's made her own decision. And so have you. I felt my stomach drop. I didn't know what I expected, but it sure as hell wasn't this. Mia was gone, not just physically but emotionally, mentally. I had been a part of her past, and now she was writing a new chapter without me. For the first time in months, I felt completely, utterly alone. And there was nothing I could do to change it. It was as if the ground had been pulled from beneath me. I could barely grasp what Lucas had said, the weight of his words pressing down on me until I felt like I was suffocating. Mia wasn't just gone. She had made her choice, and I had no part in it. She wasn't coming back, not the way I thought she would. The woman I loved had slipped through my fingers, and all I had left were the shattered pieces of the life I thought we had. I didn't know how long I stood there, the silence between Lucas and me stretching until it felt like it could swallow us whole. The apartment was cold, sterile, like something from a dream I couldn't wake up from. And in the center of it all stood Lucas, watching me with a look of pity in his eyes, something I couldn't stand. I didn't need his pity. I needed answers. I needed to know why this had happened. I wanted to scream at him, demand that he give me more, but something in me, the part that still loved Mia, held me back. I wasn't sure if I was angry at him, or at her, or at myself. It was all just too much. I'm not the one you should be angry at, Lucas said, his voice almost gentle now. I know you're hurt, but the person who left wasn't just Mia. It was the idea of who you thought she was. The words hit me harder than any punch. What does that even mean? The idea of who I thought she was? She's my wife. We had a life together. I knew her. She was real. Lucas's face softened, like he was trying to make me understand something I wasn't ready for. Mia didn't leave because of you, Tom. She left because she had to. You were never the problem. But she was running from herself for so long, trying to be the perfect wife, the perfect partner, that she forgot who she really was. And when she met me, it wasn't about me. It was about her. About the parts of her she had buried deep inside. You never saw those parts, Tom, and she couldn't keep hiding them. I felt a chill run through me. Parts of her she had buried deep inside. What did that even mean? How could someone who had been by my side for years, someone I trusted with everything, suddenly become a stranger to me? Why didn't she tell me this? I whispered, more to myself than to him. Why didn't she tell me she was struggling? I could have helped her. I could have been there. Lucas stood up, walking toward the window as he spoke, his back to me. You think she didn't want to? You think she didn't want to open up to you? She did, Tom. But she didn't know how. The person she needed to be for you wasn't the person she was when she was with me. And that's the truth. His words felt like a slap in the face, like he was chipping away at everything I believed about our relationship, about what Mia and I had. I wanted to argue with him, to fight back, but there was this part of me, deep down, that knew he was right. Mia hadn't been herself. And maybe, just maybe, I hadn't seen it. I wasn't sure how much more of this I could take. The weight of the betrayal mixing with the confusion of not knowing who Mia had really been. You're right, I said suddenly, my voice cracking. I didn't see it. I didn't know the woman she had become. And I stopped myself. My heart was pounding. This wasn't just about her anymore. It wasn't about Mia or Lucas. It was about me. It was about the fact that I had missed every sign, every moment where she had needed me and I hadn't been there. Lucas turned to face me, his eyes narrowed, as though he was trying to figure out what I was thinking. It's not too late, you know. I frowned, unsure of what he meant. What do you mean? It's over. She's gone. No, he replied, his voice firm. It's not over. Not completely. She hasn't burned every bridge, Tom. She's just lost right now. You both are. But you can't keep clinging to the idea of what you had. You have to let it go. Let it go. I didn't know how. It felt impossible. The life Mia and I had built was like a puzzle, and she had taken the final piece with her. I can't, I said, almost pleading. I can't just let go of everything. I can't just forget her. You're not forgetting her, Lucas said. You're letting her find herself. And maybe you need to do the same. It's not easy, Tom. I know it hurts, but there's no other way. For a moment, I stood there, frozen, trying to make sense of what he was saying. Part of me wanted to lash out, to demand that he tell me more, that he tell me where she was. But the other part of me, the one that still loved Mia, knew that she had to do this on her own. She had to find herself, even if it meant leaving me behind. I wanted to ask him more questions, to pry into their relationship, to find the answers that would help me make sense of everything. But deep down, I knew there was no point. The answers I was looking for weren't here. Mia was out there somewhere, and I couldn't control her anymore. I turned to leave, my heart heavy with everything I had learned. The door clicked shut behind me, and I was alone again. But this time, it was different. I didn't feel like the same person I had been when I walked into Lucas's apartment. I felt broken, yes, but I also felt something else. A strange sense of clarity, a realization that maybe I wasn't the only one who had been lost. Maybe Mia had been searching for herself all along, and I had been too blind to see it. As I stepped out into the cold night, I realized that the hardest part wasn't losing her. It was learning to let go. And maybe that was the hardest thing of all. The night felt colder than I remembered as I walked away from Lucas's apartment. My steps were slow, deliberate, as if the weight of everything I had just heard was physically holding me back. I couldn't shake the feeling that I was walking through a dream, one where everything familiar had become a blur of confusion and despair. The city around me, normally full of life, felt empty, distant, like I was disconnected from everything, from everyone. I didn't know where I was going. I didn't care. I just needed to keep moving, to let the questions and the anger and the hurt churn inside me like a storm that wouldn't stop. My phone buzzed in my pocket, a stark reminder that the world was still turning even though it felt like mine had come to a grinding halt. I pulled it out without thinking, my eyes flicking to the screen. It was a message from Mia. I froze. For a moment, I just stared at her name on the screen, disbelief washing over me. After everything that had happened, after what Lucas had told me, this was the last thing I expected. I hadn't heard from her since she left, not a single word. But now here it was, a message. Tom, I need to see you. Please. I know I've hurt you, and I don't expect you to forgive me, but there's something I have to say. I'll be waiting for you at the park. 9 p.m. Please don't make me wait too long. I felt a rush of conflicting emotions. Confusion, hope, dread. What did she want to say? Was this her trying to explain herself? Or was it something else? I wasn't sure what I wanted anymore, but I knew one thing. I had to see her. I needed to understand why she had done this, why she had left. I didn't waste any time. I rushed to the park, the cool night air hitting me like a slap in the face as I made my way through the darkened streets. The lights of the city blurred behind me, the hum of traffic a distant memory. The park was just ahead, its shadowy trees looming like silent sentinels, the benches deserted in the late hour. As I entered the park, I could see her silhouette by the bench, her posture slumped, her head lowered as if she were lost in her thoughts. For a moment, I just stood there, watching her. She looked different, smaller somehow, fragile in a way I hadn't seen before. The woman I had known seemed to have vanished, replaced by someone I wasn't sure I recognized. Mia? My voice was barely a whisper, thick with emotion. She looked up, her eyes meeting mine. There was a sadness there, an apology that didn't need to be spoken. She didn't say anything at first. She just looked at me, as if trying to find the right words. It was as if the world had stopped, and it was just the two of us, locked in a moment that was too big to fit into a single conversation. I didn't think you'd come, she said quietly, her voice breaking the silence. Why did you leave? I asked before I could stop myself. It was out before I had time to think, but it was the question I needed answered more than anything else. Why did you leave me for him? Mia blinked, her face contorting as if the words physically hurt her. Tom, I never meant to hurt you. You have to understand that. I took a few steps closer, my chest tight with frustration and pain. How could you not know? How could you not know that you were killing me every time you hid something from me? Every time you were distant, every time you pulled away. I tried, Mia. I tried to be there, but you shut me out. She stood up then, slowly, her hands trembling as she wiped at her eyes. She was clearly holding back tears, but I didn't know if she was crying for me, for herself, or for what we had lost. I didn't know how to be what you needed anymore, she whispered, her voice full of regret. I thought if I just kept pretending, everything would be fine. But it wasn't. I wasn't fine. I wasn't myself, Tom. I didn't know how to be myself with you. Her words hit me like a wave, crashing over me with a force I wasn't prepared for. I had always believed that Mia and I could get through anything. We had been together for so long, weathered so many storms together, that I thought there was nothing that could break us. But now I saw the truth. There had been cracks in our foundation that I hadn't seen, things she had hidden from me for so long. And now, she was standing here, telling me that it was all too much for her to bear. I tried to find myself, Tom, she continued, her voice trembling. I thought if I just left, if I took this time for myself, I would finally understand what I needed. And I met Lucas, and I don't know. I thought I could love him. I thought it would be easier, but it wasn't. I was still lost. I was still running. My heart shattered as I listened to her. I had always believed that Mia was my soulmate, that we were meant to be together. But now, I realized that she had never been the woman I thought she was. She had been searching for something I couldn't give her. And now, she was telling me that she had tried to replace me, to find a version of herself that didn't need me. I never wanted to hurt you, she whispered again, her voice full of desperation. I thought I could leave. I thought I could be free, but now I don't know what I want. And I don't know if it's too late to fix anything. I don't know if you'll ever forgive me. I stood there, frozen, unable to find the words. There was so much I wanted to say, so much I needed to scream at her, but nothing came out. The anger I felt, the pain, it all felt too big, too overwhelming. For a moment, we just stood there in the quiet of the park, surrounded by the darkness, two strangers in a world that had once been ours. She was looking at me, waiting for something, anything, but I couldn't give it to her. I couldn't fix this. I couldn't change what had happened. And neither could she. I don't know what to say to you, Mia. I finally managed to say, my voice thick with emotion. I don't know if I can forgive you. But I'm not the same person I was when you left. And neither are you. She nodded slowly, her tears falling freely now, her face etched with sorrow. I know, Tom. I know. And for the first time in a long time, I didn't know what to do. All the answers I had been searching for, all the questions I had been asking, didn't matter anymore. Mia had made her choice. And now, it was time for me to make mine. The storm inside me was finally settling, but it wasn't the calm I had hoped for. It was the silence that comes after everything has been broken. The world seemed to slow as I stood there, my heart pounding in my chest. The park around us, bathed in the soft glow of streetlights, felt like a distant memory, an empty stage where the story of Mia and me had played out, only to crumble into dust. The sounds of the city, the hum of life that had once felt so alive, now felt like an echo of something I could never fully grasp again. Mia stood in front of me, her face streaked with tears, her shoulders slumped with the weight of the admission she had just made. I wanted to reach out to her, to comfort her, but something inside me held back. Maybe it was the betrayal I couldn't quite shake, or maybe it was the realization that I had never really known her the way I thought I did. I thought I could fix it, she whispered, her voice breaking the silence between us. I thought if I just ran, if I just left everything behind, I could find some kind of peace. But I didn't. I didn't find peace, Tom. I just found more confusion. I took a step back, trying to distance myself from the rawness of the moment, but it was impossible. Every word she said seemed to reach deep into the very core of who I was. I had spent so much time chasing after her, after the person I thought I knew, that I had failed to see the cracks in the foundation we had built. Mia wasn't just lost. She was shattered, and no matter how much I tried, I couldn't fix her. I couldn't even fix myself. Mia, I said quietly, my voice thick with emotion. You should have talked to me. You should have told me what was going on, what you were feeling. I might not have been perfect, but I could have tried. I wanted to try. She nodded slowly, her hands trembling as she wiped her eyes. I know. But every time I tried to open up to you, I felt like I was losing myself more. I thought if I just kept everything inside, if I pretended that everything was fine, it would be easier. But it wasn't. It was suffocating. I let out a sharp breath, the pain of her words cutting deeper than I had expected. So you ran. You ran to him. You thought that would fix it? Her gaze flickered for a moment, and for the first time, she seemed to hesitate. I thought maybe it would help, but it didn't. Lucas wasn't the answer. I thought I needed someone who could understand me, who could show me what I was missing, but all I did was lose myself even more. My heart twisted at her words. I wanted to shout, to tell her that it wasn't just about Lucas, that it wasn't about any one person. It was about us, about what we had, about what we could have been if she had trusted me, if we had talked instead of running. But something told me that saying those words would only push her further away. I don't know what to say anymore, Mia, I said, my voice barely above a whisper. You left. You left without a word, without a warning. You disappeared into something I didn't even know existed. And now you're telling me it's over. You're telling me you don't know who you are anymore. How am I supposed to process that? She took a step closer to me, her hands reaching out as if she were trying to bridge the gap between us, but I stepped back, needing the distance. I wasn't ready to let her back in. Not like this. Not after everything. I'm sorry, Tom, she whispered. I never meant to hurt you. I never wanted to make you feel like you weren't enough. You were always enough. I didn't know how to be myself with you anymore. And I thought if I ran, if I left, maybe I could figure it out. I stared at her, my heart breaking all over again. I had given everything I had to this relationship, and yet it had never been enough. She had been searching for something that I couldn't give her, and no matter how hard I tried, I would never be able to fill that void. For a long time, we stood in silence. The weight of everything we had said hung heavy between us, suffocating any hope I had left for reconciliation. I wanted to hold her, to fix everything, to make her see how much I still loved her. But I couldn't. I couldn't save her from herself, and I couldn't save us from the choices we had made. I need to go, Tom, Mia said softly, her voice strained. I don't know what the future holds. I don't know where I'm going or what I'm supposed to do. But I can't stay here. Not like this. I looked at her one last time, my heart torn between wanting to hold on and knowing that I couldn't. This was it. This was the end. And deep down, I knew there was no going back. We had reached the point of no return, and no matter how hard we tried, we couldn't undo what had been done. Goodbye, Mia, I said quietly, my voice barely above a whisper. And with that, she turned away, walking into the darkness, leaving me standing there, alone. I stood in the park, the cold air wrapping around me like a blanket, but it couldn't numb the ache in my chest. I had always believed that love was enough, that love could fix anything. But now, I understood that sometimes love isn't enough. Sometimes love isn't what you think it is. Sometimes love is the hardest thing to let go of. As I walked away, I couldn't help but wonder if I had truly known Mia at all. The woman I had loved, the woman I thought I would spend the rest of my life with, was gone. And all I had left were memories, memories of a life that I would never be able to reclaim. I didn't know where I was going or what came next, but I knew one thing for sure. I had to let her go. For both of us. Because holding on would only make the pain worse. And maybe, just maybe, in time, I would find my own way to heal. The days after Mia left were some of the hardest I had ever lived through. Each morning, I woke up to the silence of a home that once echoed with laughter, with shared moments, with the comforting rhythm of two lives intertwined. But now, it was just me, alone with the memories of what we had and the painful reality of what we had lost. The ache in my chest was constant, a reminder of all the things I couldn't change. But as time passed, something began to shift inside me. The grief, though still sharp and overwhelming at times, started to give way to something else, something softer, more manageable. It wasn't immediate. It didn't come with an epiphany or a grand moment of clarity. It was subtle. It was the small things, waking up in the morning and realizing that, for the first time in months, I didn't feel consumed by the sadness. The laughter of my friends, a conversation that made me smile, A day spent doing something for myself. Things that slowly helped me remember that I was still me, that I was still alive. I started focusing on the things that had been put on hold for so long. Hobbies I had abandoned, friendships I had neglected, and the dreams I had tucked away. I joined a local photography class, something I had always wanted to do but never found the time for. I spent more time with my family, reconnected with old friends, and allowed myself to feel the joy in life again. I didn't have all the answers, but I was slowly learning to embrace the idea that healing wasn't a destination, it was a journey. One evening, months after Mia had left, I found myself back in the park where we had met, sitting on a bench by the lake. The world had changed in ways I couldn't have anticipated. I had changed. And as I sat there, watching the sunset paint the sky with streaks of orange and pink, I realized something important. Life was still beautiful, even after all the pain. There was still hope, still the possibility of something new. As I was lost in thought, my phone buzzed. I picked it up without thinking, surprised to see a message from Mia. It had been so long since we had spoken, and my heart skipped a beat as I read her words. Tom, I know it's been a long time, and I understand if you don't want to talk to me. But I've been thinking about you, about everything we shared. I hope you're doing well. And if you ever feel ready, I would love to meet, just to talk. No expectations, just to reconnect. Take care of yourself. I sat there for a long time, the message sitting in my hands, and for the first time in months, I didn't feel the rush of anger or pain that had once overtaken me. Instead, there was a sense of peace. I knew that this chapter, the one where we had been together, was over. And that was okay. The love we had shared would always hold a place in my heart, but I had learned that it wasn't the only thing that defined me. I had my own life to live, my own story to write. And maybe, just maybe, Mia had her own journey to walk too. I thought about the message for a while, then decided to reply. Mia, thank you for reaching out. I've been thinking a lot too. I'm doing okay. I think I've finally come to a place where I can let go of the past and move forward. I hope you're finding what you need, and I wish you all the best. Take care. I hit send and put the phone down, a weight lifting off my shoulders. I didn't need closure in the way I had once thought. What I needed was to accept the truth, that life moves forward, with or without us. And sometimes, the best thing we can do is let go of what was, to make room for what could be. A soft breeze blew through the trees, and I closed my eyes, taking a deep breath. The sky above me, once darkened by the storm of my emotions, was now clear, the colors of the sunset painting a picture of hope and new beginnings. I had learned the hard way that happiness wasn't something you could hold on to forever. It was something you had to find within yourself, even in the darkest of times. And as I sat there, in the peaceful stillness of the evening, I realized that I wasn't alone. Not anymore. Because I had found my way back to myself, and that was enough. In time, I knew I would be ready for whatever came next. Whatever it was, I was finally ready to face it with open arms. And for the first time in a long while, I felt peace. True, unshakable peace. The future was no longer a question mark. It was a promise, and I was ready to live it.